Hey family, have you seen the things that are coming together? I've been just tracking with the building of the stage in the other room, and I was just looking at it like, wow, this is coming together. It's exciting. I am pumped about Paisley and what's coming together here. Very excited. A lot of work, a lot of maybe stress, more stress than normal, especially when it's been coming to the getting the screen and all that stuff sorted, but very, very excited about what God's doing as we get ready for opening Sunday in just a few weeks. In these weeks leading up to grand opening, launch Sunday, 18th of September. In the weeks leading up to the 18th of September, we are preparing as a group here to talk about what kind of church we feel like God's called us to begin here at in this building. And so we've been talking about like God just didn't send a church here. He intentionally picked our church. And when I got that phone call last September, out of nowhere, there has been a proven reality, a proven consistency that God has wanted Rehope here in this place, not just a church, but Rehope. And so then we've been talking about what does it mean to be a Rehope church? What is it that God has placed on my heart from the beginning? What are the things that we're trying to focus on to make not just a church, but our church and our church here in this place? And so we've talked about how we want to be a place where God's presence is. God's presence, not just an inspirational place or not just a helpful place, but we want to be a place where people meet with God. And we talked about how we can be a part of setting the environment for being a place where people walk in and are like, wow, God is here. God is real. God is here. We've talked about a lot of things like our commission to be a praying people and how central that is to before our church even was able to get going, this calling to be a praying people. We've talked about the place of the Bible and being a people who love the Word of God and who learn it over a lifetime and just the joy of God's Word. We've talked about several things. In this particular era, we're now talking about some values that you would think are in all churches, but maybe they have certain flavors for our church very specifically. And today I want to talk about what we're trying to do here when it comes to this being the house of God, the family of God, and things like hospitality. And I'm just going to start by putting my cards on the table. Family means a lot to me. Like the concept of family and the idea of us as Jesus' family together. Us as Jesus' family, that means a lot to me. And here's kind of why. When I grew up, I grew up within a mile, basically, of all of my extended family. You know, I wouldn't say walking distance because I was in America. If I was in Scotland, easy walking distance, but we drive everywhere in the U.S. So, within a mile of each other, we grew up, and so some of our family relationships were healthy, some were unhealthy, depending on what side of the family we were on. In fact, the Ingraham side of my family, extremely unhealthy. My mom's side of the family, the Irwin side, very healthy, very healthy. In fact, Grandma Irwin, probably one of the most special people in my life of all time. She just passed away a few years ago, but like Grandma Irwin was the center of our extended family. And every holiday, every birthday, like Christmas and Thanksgiving and all these whatever occasion it would be, we would all go over to Grandma Irwin's house, and she would have the table all set up nicely, and then there's like the table, and then there's like the folding tables that are added on for the kids, and it was quite a moment to get to the big table eventually, but then it turns out that the big table is the boring table. But anyways, so you had the big table and all the special tablecloths and all the special glasses and all the special plates and utensils and that would come out of the glass cupboard there, just really special. The smells. Just walking into Grandma's house, and it's been decades now, but like I can remember the smells, whether it's turkey or whether it's apple pie. I love apple pie. Grandma homemade apple pie. It is probably the top tippity top of my lifetime desserts. Not just any apple pie, grandma's apple pie. Oh, and homemade ice cream. And then she had like homemade strawberry jelly for the homemade rolls that she collect yourself, Brian, collect yourself. I mean, it's just going into grandma's house wasn't fancy. It wasn't super posh. They were in the same house all of my life. In fact, the same house since my mom was like I don't know, 10 or something like that. Like they'd lived in the same house for years and years. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't new. It wasn't particularly stunning on the outside or the inside, but it was grandma's house and it was special. And for me, like when I think about just that environment and when I think about what family can be and what it can feel like in its best, I think about Grandma Irwin and just going over there. Now, sometimes it felt like too many holidays. Like, wow, this is a lot of cousin time. This is a lot of family time. This is a lot of, but wow, so special. On the Ingraham side, funny enough, the Ingraham side had much more money. Nicer house by far. You'd go over there, very fancy foods and much more posh, but also super cold. Super cold. The tensions in the room, like there was so much unhealth and tensions in relationship. It was like, I mean, I would hang out with a couple of my cousins and my brother, maybe my sister. We'd kind of zip away from the really awkward family dynamics up there as much as possible. Oh man, I've got stories about some of the awkward, but we actually hardly ever went over there. Maybe just like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, depending on the year, we'd rotate back and forth. It was family, but unhealthy. On the other hand, my wife's side, Kelly, her mom, Mimi, Mimi is amazing. Like that, her Christmases at Kelly's family's house were just so magical. And I remember just as a teenager coming over to her house for Christmas. Yeah, we've been together that long. That's why we've been married 25 years, and I'm only 35 now, or so. I'm not quite 30. I'm a little bit older than 35. But anyways, so but we over there as a teenager, and just again, not a rich family, just a normal family, and maybe a little bit of a poorer part of the town, and yet the warmth, the joy of being in the family, and the food. Oh, like Mimi was masterful at food, and I'll give you a story. The first time I visited, okay, so I kind of like this girl Kelly. I invited myself over to her house. No, that's not exactly true. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I did. Actually, it was a long time ago. Anyway, so I'm going over to Kelly's parents' house. First time me going over there, and it's after school, and I'd driven down and sitting at the table. And there is a lot of broccoli on the table. Now, 17-year-old Brian, barely 17-year-old Brian is like, oh my goodness, broccoli. I don't eat broccoli. Like broccoli is not, I don't know if I've had broccoli, and if I have, it wasn't an enjoyable experience. But oh no, I am at Kelly's parents' house. I'm gonna have to eat this broccoli. Because I liked Kelly, I tried the broccoli. It was amazing. I mean, it might have been broccoli, but it tasted like butter. It was incredible. It was packed with butter. So great. I have loved broccoli ever since that day. But I tried it because of Kelly. I discovered that the magic of butter, the magic of just that family hospitality and what could be done with food and just that environment. It just have such positive experiences, and maybe that's a long ways to set up something that was hard for me. One of the hardest things about moving to Scotland was leaving family. That was the brutal bit. You know, I remember just going to the airport, Kelly's parents weeping, like just a mess. My parents weeping, and just I'm taking my 1-year-old and my barely 2-year-old, my 2.5-year-old, I guess, my 2-year-old, my 1-year-old, 2-year-old on a plane. The family is going apart. Kelly's family, my family, we all lived really close, decently close in the Seattle area. And here we are moving a long ways away to Scotland. And one of the verses that is really important to me in those times is in Mark, and Jesus is talking, and he says these words. He says, I assure you, or truly, truly I say to you, verily, verily. No, this is the truth, Jesus says. There is no one who has left house, brothers or sisters, mother or father, children or fields because of me and the gospel, who will not receive 100 times more now at this time. Houses, brothers and sisters and mothers and it goes on. There's more to that story, but for me, and Kelly, leaving our fathers and mothers, leaving our grandparents, leaving our brothers and sisters, leaving our cousins, it was such a painful moment. And yet, maybe that's why this would make sense to you. When we've come to start a church, and starting this church, at one of the very heart pieces that I care so much about developing is that this isn't just a church, but that it's a family. That we are a family. And that we are a family. Fact, we are a family. That's just a biblical fact. When Jesus talks about God's our Father, and we've got brothers and sisters in Christ, and all that kind of stuff. The Bible paints us as a family. We are a family, fact. But I can tell you from my personal experience is that some families can be cold and distant and unhealthy and full of conflict and strife, and some families can be warm and hospitable and welcoming and healing and delightful and environments that you cherish. And it's not about money. It's about love. It's about warmth. It's about caring. And so when we've set out to start this church, that's why our value for being a family and creating a family is so important to me. It's so important to me. And sure, you and I, maybe we won't be super connected at this month or whatever, the next couple of months. I want to be as connected as I can be, but I want us together to have a family feel, to you and one another being connected and caring and warm. So that's what we're going to try and do. We are a family, that's biblical, but we're trying to be a good family. What kind of family do you want this church to be? I want it to be warm. I want it to be caring, and that's what I'm aiming for. Honestly, we're not a rich family. That's been one of the challenges of our church, and I try not to do the comparison thing, but I have lots of buddies who are pastors in churches our size or a bit bigger, a bit smaller, and I'm like, wow, they tend to have a much bigger budgets than we do at our church. We're not a rich church. But what we try and do is make the most of what we've got. And we invest in the things as if this is our special home and trying to make it as nice as we can do. If we had more money, we could do more. That's always the truth. But we want to make this as nice as it can be, but also nice without warmth. It's no fun. That's no fun. And so it's just kind of working as a family. We're going to aim to be a warm family here. There's 2 layers when it comes to trying to create a warm family here in Paisley. The first layer has to do with food and hospitality. And you probably heard that from me. It's now no secret. Like when I think of family, I'm thinking food. I'm thinking the hospitality, the environment, the smells of walking into Grandma Irwin's house, that broccoli can taste good with lots of butter and lots of salt and all that sort of stuff. I'm thinking of just the joy of eating together and being together. One of our main written values when it comes to our churches, our church, one church, multiple locations, our locations, is that is over-the-top hospitality. That's how we word it. OTT hospitality, over-the-top hospitality. It's our aim to be over-the-top in our hospitality, in our hospitability, hospital. Send me to the hospital. I don't even know. No, in our hospitality. And so we're trying to do that. We're trying to create this. We're trying to create that environment, and we're trying to do that with our coffee and coffee, tea. I don't want to just have coffee. I want to have coffee that I like in this church. I want to have coffee that I will drink in this church. I want to have coffee that, as if this is our home. This is God's house, but we get to be the children that are kind of running this house under Jesus and under our Father. And so when people are coming to God's house, the house that He's entrusted us with, like, what kind of coffee are we serving with people? It's important to me that it's good, and that it's that it's something that we can be proud of. Depending on the location, we work really hard at the food aspect of our hospitality, trying to raise the bar with food. Now, again, we don't have a lot of money, and different locations have different amounts of money, and different cultures and different just different cultural situations. But what do we have? What can we do that can just kind of keep bumping up the bar in the area of hospitality? Sometimes I think when it comes to hospitality, it just can take one thing. When it comes to family and creating a family environment, just one thing that can make a difference. It doesn't have to be everything amazing, but what's one thing that can just lift the bar so people are like, oh, there's something special here. Oh, this is special. Oh, there's something going on here that's just a little bit more. And we want to do that with our food and welcome and hospitality. So that's one of our main things that we're trying to do when it comes to cultivating a family environment. The second thing has to do with warmth. With warmth, I listen, I care. I want to encourage you. I had two grandmothers all through growing up. They lived to be old, quite old, maybe 90s, in the 90s or whatever. They only just passed away, both of them, maybe within the last 3 years or something like that, but not very long ago. So I had these two grandmothers all my life. One was warm, and one was distant. I'm sure the one that was distant, I'm sure that they would have been fine listening to me if I would go to them and ask them to listen. But the other one I would go to, asked or unasked, because I felt loved and cared about. And sometimes when we think about, like, hey, I'm here and this is my family, and sure, I'm willing to listen to whoever would, if they have some issues or that if they want to talk through some challenges, sure, I'd be happy to listen to them. The difference between being willing versus being someone where people will go to is, how are we doing at projecting I care? And I want my family, us, to be projecting I care. I care about you. Which means when you come to church, it can't just be about you and your experience. I mean, I'm telling you, Grandma had a very hard week leading up to hosting our whole family. She put in more work. She was more exhausted. She poured herself in to those days in the weeks leading up to the gathering. It was good, but it wasn't about her. It wasn't about her. She set the table for family. And when it comes to being a part of this church, I'm inviting you to be table setters. To be table setters. It's like, I'm coming to the church, and yes, it's going to be good for you. Yes, I know that Jesus is going to get a hold of your life. Yes, I know that there's going to be a reawakening and goodness and great things that are happening, and you're going to have relationships and connections to one another, and that's all going to be good. But at the end of the day, what I need and what I want and what I'm aiming for is for all of us to be expressing a warmth and an I care attitude about you. And I'm here to listen. I'm here to care. I want to be aware, like, what is Jesus doing in your life, and how can I help you take the next steps? The reality is, I will never know all of your story, and you're never gonna know everyone's story in the room. Even if this is it, it's not. This is not it. But even if this is it, you're never gonna know everybody's story. All the way. You're never going to know about the challenges in their hearts and life. You won't know. I mean, I will communicate, and I'm not trying to hold anything back or hide stuff, but like you won't know sometimes if I have a particularly hard week. Like this last week on Tuesday night, I wasn't sleeping. And I was laying there and I was stressed, and I was just, it's like a stupid stress. It's like not a big stress, but a real stress. And I'm just like, Jesus, I need help. I need your guidance. I need you to give me answers to this challenge that I'm stressed about. I need your help. And I was up for hours like praying and stressed about that and tired because of it. It's been something that's been hanging on me, at least for the middle of this week here. And that's real. Normally you just won't know that. You won't be able to. It's not because I'm trying to hide it or because people in this room are trying to hide it, but we won't have a lot of time together to be able to communicate everything. And so the reality is, people are going to come in these doors. We have no idea the challenges of their life. We have no idea the secret pains that they've endured, either growing up or even in the last week or in this last season. The disappointments, the challenges. We have no idea. We have no idea. And yet, what kind of place do we want to be? We want to be a safe place where people will come in and they might have just gone through Sheol, just an awful week. And yet where they can come and they can feel life. They can feel cared about. They can get some healing for the wounds of their heart. One of the words over this church from the beginning is that this is to be a place of life. Not Rehope Church, Rehope Church Paisley. That Rehope Church Paisley is to be a place of life. That's a key word, life. And life begins with love. Life begins with warmth. Life begins with caring. Life begins with just being intentional. Now, how do we do this? How do we create an oasis of warmth and family and all this kind of stuff? Well, 5 ways. Number 1, and this is what I'm going to invite and challenge you to do and encourage you to do, all of you who want to be a part of this church, prepare your heart and your mindset before you come to church. Whether it's Thursdays for Bible read through, whether it's Sundays for this, whatever it is, when you're prepare. You know, one thing that just disturbed, it makes sense. I'm not judging anybody for this, but it bothers me in a way. Many people who are really good at their Jesus times, like maybe Bible reading or praying and in the mornings and all this kind of stuff. Okay, there's not a lot of people who are good at that, right? But those who are, the amount of people that are good at that, many of them, a huge percentage of them, as far as my very informal assessment goes, don't do it on Sundays. They might prepare their heart for the rest of the week, but Sundays they're like, we're going to church. And so they don't do their normal Jesus time on Sundays. They don't do their normal prayer times. They don't do their normal preparation times. And so then they come into Sunday and church, and they're going through the process of like connecting with God, pre-service prayer and all that kind of stuff, but they're not coming in prepared, ready for this. Yeah, it would be great if on Sundays you didn't skip your Jesus times. And you work through, Jesus, I'm coming today. What is your assignment for me today? What do you have for me? And what do you have through me? What do you want to give to me? What do you want to give to people through me today? And can I have that dual mindset? I'm gonna come and meet with you, Jesus, and I want to be changed, and I want to be helped and guided and whatever. I want you to encourage me. But God, I want to go into to also minister to people. Is there somebody you want me to pray for today? Is there somebody you want me to encourage? Is there my eyes are open. Help me to see and to act with courage at the right time. How can I bless my family that you've brought me in to be a part of? Anyways, preparing your heart and mindset before you come in, it's just huge and significant. And when you're at pre-service prayer, maybe you just be asking yourself also the question, Jesus, is there any encouragement that you have for me today? Okay, prepare your heart. Secondly, choose to welcome. Obviously, join the welcome team, but even if you're not on the welcome team, choose to be somebody who's like, I care about everyone walking in this door. That's going to be my mindset. I care about everybody walking in this door, and whether it's my job or not, my eyes are open for who can I care about today? Who can I care about? Who's sitting alone? What family or what group of people are, they're together, but they're not, like, nobody else is engaging with them. That's one of the tricky things. Groups that come in, like a group of friends, and it's like, wow, it kind of feels a little bit scary because a group of friends there, pushing past that awkwardness. And it's like, welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. I'm glad you're here. Just to treat people as if someone special just walked into God's special house, your special house, and bringing that together. I know that the Bible talks about sometimes we are able to entertain angels unaware, and maybe we will be doing that here at Rehope. Have we ever? I don't know. I'm unaware. That's one of the whole things about the verse. And we entertain angels unaware. Great. I'm unaware. I don't know. But just welcoming people as if they're special, sent by God from heaven in their brokenness, in their pain, in their journey, in their strengths, in their giftedness, wherever they're at. They've been sent here by God into this place. What a gift each person who walks in this door is. Join me with that mindset there. Thirdly, simple things: circulate, and learn names. Circulate and learn names. Get to know the people that are part of the family. Write it down. And you know what, family? Be gracious to one another. Just because you tell someone your name once, I know that you know your name, and it's kind of a big deal to you. But wow, there's a lot of names, and we're just gonna allow a graciousness to be asking for the awkward 10th time. Wow, that would be awkward 10 times. But like, it's gonna be okay here, because working to get the names is worth the awkwardness. But we're gonna circulate. We're not gonna transfix on a few friends. It's really hard in the church to see certain peoples who really come to church and they engage with the people that they know and like, and then but they're not engaging with others. That doesn't make for the kind of family that we're looking for. I do want you to connect with your friends and make friends, but I also want you to have your eyes open. So there's that, circulating. Fourthly, I would encourage you to be quick to pray and bless good things over people as you're listening to them. And just because, oh God, I ask for your guidance. Give them the answers that they need right now. God, I thank you for leading them to this church. And God, I just pray that you would help them in this crisis, in this challenge. Very quick, simple prayers that we're just praying. Nothing says I'm cared for than being prayed for. I just feel like when I go to a place, sometimes when I visit churches, I don't know about you, I hope someone will pray for me. I hope someone will encourage me. I hope to hear something from God. And so that's the kind of family we want to be. And then fifthly and finally, just as far as like creating a good family here, be here. Be consistently around. Thursdays, engage with us. If we do special, like we're going to have a special family time, something like that. Let's be here. Like show up. Consistently being in the room is what it takes to kind of keep cultivating the family dynamic. If you only come from time to time, this isn't going to be for you the family that you're going to want it to be, and you're not going to be able to help us create the family that we want to create. So again, I know we're all each on our own journeys there and with what's going on, but I do challenge you as you're considering, okay, I want to make this church not just a church, but according to the heart behind Rehope and what we're trying to do here. That's the key of it. Family, and the kind of family we want to be. Anyways, church, bless you, and look forward to continuing to be a part of and watch this great journey unfold. God has got some really exciting stuff going on with Rehope Church Paisley, and I'm glad you're here. Talk to you soon.